There we go. Good day. Hello. I'm back from my from the trip to Omaha, and it was actually a good weekend, a closing tribute to my mom, and it was it is what it is, and but it was tough in some ways, but it was good in other ways, in that family and friends celebrating the person that my mom was. It was enlightening. It was it made me proud of the family I grew up in. So that's all I can say about that. And I may, if I have time, just kind of give. We had kind of a triple eulogy, and so I represent the family getting up and saying some words. So I might go through that at the end of the show or not. I don't know. I haven't decided. But today is definitely a day where I need to kind of get caught up. Now I have caught up on the news quite a bit, but I just want to. The debate was this morning if I was going to listen to the interview that Thomas Binger gave to some guy on a podcast and make fun of him. He's the lead prosecutor on the Rittenhouse trial. Or if I was just going to get caught up in the news. It looks like so far the votes say let's get caught up in the news, because there's some things I want to talk about there too. And I couldn't decide. And also, if you were here Thursday, I was having some technical difficulties with trying to do Twitter Spaces. Well, this morning, I was able to fix that problem. So I will try and do that again, maybe on Friday. And I may do a couple afternoon shows too, just for that. And see if I can get some interesting conversations going. It's funny, because I spend a lot of time in some of these Twitter Spaces, and I've spoken in a few of them, and they're interesting. It's a whole different. I guess is it supposed to be? There's some other service. Is it where you're kind of in a chat room where people can all jump in? I'm not sure what. There's one. What's the other one called? Oh shoot. I can't think of the name of it. You probably know which one I'm talking about, but we're going to do some of those because they're kind of fun. And actually it's funny. I get a lot of engagement, even when I'm not hosting them, even when I'm just a speaker on one of those things. And it's interesting to hear other people's opinions. And it's a lot like open mic, except, it seems like they're becoming pretty popular. They get a lot of people, and especially if you have a super controversial topic, a lot of people like to get into them and speak their minds. So we'll try those again. We'll do one Friday for sure, but I might do one during the week. Who knows? I might do one tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see. So we got some news. I got news to get caught up on. By the way, thank you. Who sent me this? Let's see. Okay, looks like we are going to do news today. I'm sorry. Who sent this? Oh, Circa Zero sent me this. Breaking: City of Chicago confirms it will now sue Jussie Smollett for wasting $130,000. Good. Now that he's been found guilty on 5 of the 6 counts, although they're going to appeal that. It's embarrassing. His prosecution team. By the way, if you've been out of town for a funeral and you weren't watching the news, well, you found out that Jussie Smollett was found guilty on 5 of 6 charges for staging his hate crime hoax. Shocker. Actually, I am shocked. I'm shocked that the jury found him guilty in a way, because it's Chicago. You just never know what's going to happen in Chicago with the way that, the way that got dropped in the first place and all that other stuff. You just can't trust the system, but the system's, I'm 3 for 3 right now on the trials of the century. Now, the Kim Potter trial, the one in Minneapolis, where she pulled the taser out or she thought she pulled her taser out and then shot the kid who was being arrested on a warrant, and he tried to drive away with the cop hanging out his car. I'm not sure on that one. I'm gonna go for the not guilty, but we'll see. That trial's still going on. Let's see if I can go for 4 for 4 though. I'm going to say she's gonna be found not guilty on both charges, but we'll see. It's another one of those cases where you're in a city where the Chauvin trial came up with 3 guilty verdicts on all 3 charges, which I thought was incorrect. I thought only one of the charges should have been, the only charge that was the manslaughter charge I thought was probably legitimate, and that if you're going to say beyond a reasonable doubt, well, I thought it was beyond a reasonable doubt. But anyway, because of his lack of situational awareness. But the other 2 I thought were one's going to get dropped anyway, because the Supreme Court already said that law doesn't apply to this type of case. And then the other one, I just didn't think they proved that there was an intentional assault on George, whatever his name is. Not that I'm not dismissing. My brain is not working that well. So George Floyd, that guy. Yeah. So anyway, welcome back to the show. We're going to get it started. Let me play the intro and then we'll get into the day and try to get caught up because it's catch-up day on the Morning Night Live. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. Okay, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It's Monday, the 13th of December, 2021. And I'm back. I'm back from Omaha. We drove down. It was good to see family and stuff. I am slightly distracted still, but not quite like I was last week. Things are, I'm resolving to just be okay. My mom was 92 years old. She lived a ripe old age. She had an amazing life. So many things that I've learned about her since I was in my 30s that I didn't know when I was a kid growing up, that she was a pretty amazing woman. And if you were here Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, when I read the story about how our neighborhood came to be, that we moved into in West Omaha when black folks weren't necessarily moving to West Omaha. That's just one of many things that my mom was a pioneer at. It's funny. My mom's she was all of 5'1", okay, 5'1". And in high school, in Omaha, a black girl who was in the Latin club and was on the yearbook staff and on the school paper staff and played sports. My 5'1" mother played basketball in high school. This is 1947. And apparently they had a girls' baseball team at the time. She played baseball, and she was just all these different clubs and stuff where she was always the only black girl there. Maybe not in the sports, but in all the other things. You go through your book and she's the only black girl in those pictures. And she she dealt with things in those years when she was at the University of Nebraska. She started school at the University of Nebraska as a pre-med student, which again, a black woman who's a pre-med student in 1948 or 49. And then she ended up finishing her undergraduate degree at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, where there was still segregation, that back of the bus thing. Just her whole career path, you know, when she was going into teaching, she switched from pre-med to math. And yes, we are doing the news. So she was, and then she taught math in high schools, and then was a guide, went into counseling. She once got passed over for a promotion and successfully schooled the school system. And because she was supposed to, there was a position for director of guidance, and they gave it to a guy with like 15 less years experience than her. And she's like, this isn't right. We're going to fix this right now. And just so many little things. She was pretty amazing woman. And she really laid a path down for me and my sister as far as the things we did. And I didn't realize it until I was in my 30s. You know, when she always had us doing so many different things, or anything we wanted to try, we tried, and including my sister showing quarter horses at the state fair, because we had, my sister wanted to try riding horses, and so we bought a horse, and she trained it and ended up making it, qualifying to show it at the state fair. And it's like this one black girl at the state fair, because my mom's like, yeah, you're going to try it. You're going to do it. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it the best you can. And so, cool stuff like that. And me, I was, I grew up and played multiple sports. I was in music. I was in theater. I played multiple musical instruments. I sang. I did all this other stuff that, just I wanted to try it. And my mom was like, okay, you're going to try it then. And if you're going to try it, you're going to do the best you can. And it dawned on me that, this path that she laid, when I'm looking through a yearbook and seeing all this stuff she did, I was like, oh, I get it. See, you did all this stuff. Now you've laid the trail, and you wanted to make sure my sister and I had footsteps in that trail. And as an adoptee, I was just her kid. It didn't matter that I was adopted. I got all the opportunities. It really saved my life. So anyway, enough about me and my mother. We're through a weekend where there's a lot of news, so we'll get caught up and stuff. But before I do that, let's say good morning. How is everyone doing? First in the chat today is Avocados Diablo, who gets the bell. And thank you for being here, sir. You know how much I appreciate you. Also, good morning to Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, Select the Boys in the house, and Maddie's in the house. And also, good morning to, Lynette Pearson, who's a bot who I'm yeeting right now. Goodbye, bot. Probably gone already anyway, but you just got to take care of those. Also, good morning, Fox P2, Skep Talk, what's happening? Let's see, Furry Kittens in the house, Tyler F, Somnambule Nation, Khalid Bernier, our Florida correspondent. Also, good morning to Francis Barrett, welcome back. Mass Creations Broadcast, what up? Duck Dog is in the house. Chicago year to date, shot and killed 764. Good God. Shot and wounded 3606. Total shot 4370. Total homicides 813. Most violent year since 2016. Let's go, Brandon. I'm afraid to say that on YouTube because where was it? Oh, did you hear about this? So, okay, let me finish saying hi, and then I'm gonna talk about that Let's Go, Brandon thing. Good morning. Why are you so angry? You might be angry after I tell you what I was just about to say. Good morning, Lord Stanhope. And Rock Hopper, another friend from down under. Good day, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, the Titleist Golf Company is actually Acushnet, is the parent company of Titleist. They make Titleist golf balls and golf bags and golf hats and golf clubs and golf. Did I say already golf bags? They make everything golf. Titleist makes it, right? And in fact, Titleist is the company that the golf balls I play Pro V1s. You know, they're great golf balls. They have good spin, you know, and decent distance. But I like the be able to try to stop the ball when I hit the green. So, so you can the Titleist company, you can buy golf balls from Titleist, right? And you can order them special ordered with certain things written on them. So, for example, my wife last Christmas bought me a dozen golf balls. Oh wait, was it last Christmas or 2 Christmas ago? Because I still have one. I haven't played that many rounds, but I still have one after 2 years, which is amazing. She had one with a fleur-de-lis. You know, one of those things like the New Orleans Saints, fleur-de-lis. She had that on one side because it was remembering our 25th anniversary trip to New Orleans. And the other side had my name on it, you know, and Marty on it, right? You can order custom golf balls from Titleist, and they will, you know, print them for you, right? Well, apparently, Titleist will not allow you, they will no longer allow you to customize your golf balls with the phrase, "Let's go, Brandon." They won't let you do it. You can put all kinds of, you can put F Trump, you can put all kinds of nasty swear words on them, but they will not allow you to put on the phrase, "Let's go, Brandon." And I'm like, what the bloody hell? Are you serious? Are you serious? Is that, now, I think it came from some report that there was, I can't remember who it was, but there's some reports saying, oh yeah, they're considering that a dangerous phrase, that it's that it's a phrase that you're threatening somebody, because those gun, remember those, because some couple gun manufacturers were having, when you can have special things engraved on your magazines or whatever, and some people were putting them on those, and people were saying, oh, that's a threat. And I'm just like, come on, man, this is getting ridiculous. Just like, well, all the people talking about, they're trying to damage our democracy. It reminds me of that bullshit. Yes, I did swear now, so I'm probably, there you go. But anyway, I couldn't believe it. Wait, that seems like a warning sign. She is probably labeling them so she knows which ones are meant for hitting at you. No, see, now Lady Boomer doesn't really play golf yet. We're working on it now. So, because when we first got married, we've been married 27 years, going on 28 years, and she was taking golf lessons when I met her, but not half-heartedly, okay? And she has gone out with me and Grandma Kay and my son a couple times, but she kind of hits the ball, and then if it doesn't go, she just walks and picks it up and drops it somewhere else and hits it again, because she's not, necessarily... She's not a golfer yet. She's not like me and my son and Graham K. But anyway, how stupid that is. And I'm this close to just stop doing business with companies that do this woke nonsense. Although I'm not necessarily a big fan of boycotting things, but it just seems stupid. Oh, by the way, I do have my reparations coffee here. Today's cup is from the Church of the Resurrection in Omaha, Nebraska, which is the church that my mother helped bring together. We had two Episcopal churches in the North Omaha area. Both of them had dwindling congregations, and so they combined the two congregations. This is another one of my mom's accomplishments, okay? So our congregation was pretty much all black people, except for a couple people in our church. And then one on the far north side of Omaha was pretty much all white church. And they brought those churches together, forming the Church of the Resurrection. And it's been a great success ever since. So it's just one of those things that my mom has under her belt. And also, in fact, the bishop, the Episcopal bishop in the Diocese of Nebraska, was the guy I went to high school with, and great guy, Scott Barker, and he was the priest at that church for about 5 years, and my mother was kind of his mentor there. Even though she's not clergy, she was one of the people who, helped him along, and he came to her funeral, and it was a big deal to have the bishop at your funeral, and that's the kind of respect that my mother had around the state of Nebraska, because she became a deacon of the church about 20 years ago, I think it was 20 years ago, and traveled all around the state, helping other churches with certain issues, and also just doing things that was very unusual for a black woman to do in the state of Nebraska. So it's all good. Anyway, good morning, Willie. Good morning, Brent Hayes. And I thought I saw somebody else come in. Lord Stanhope, I think I already said hello. So I'm caught up. And why are you so angry? I think I said hello. So anyway, but yeah, how nuts is that? Come on. You know that they'll allow you to put anything derogatory towards the guy with the funny hair. I guarantee it. But no, they will not allow you to say, "Let's go, Brandon," on their golf balls. Go figure. All right, let's do some news. One of the things I was going to do today, I have a new follower on Gab. I don't think I've had a new follower on Gab for months. I don't really post on Gab other than notifications, so that's probably why. But that surprised me, seeing a new follower on Gab, a political rebel. There you go. So that person's welcome to the show, or not? They're probably not here, but anyway. And then I have a couple articles open because I wanted to. Again, I talk a lot of things Rittenhouse, and this one, just from the American Thinker, I thought was interesting because I think this whole Rittenhouse phenomenon is interesting. But this one's entitled "They Hate Us. They Really Hate Us," and I find it fascinating. So bear with me. We'll go through this one, and then I got some other stuff that's not obviously not Rittenhouse related. Can I get rid of that? I'm gonna move that over. I'm sorry. I got. Wait, what the hell happened there? That was not one of my intention. Hang on a second. Let me figure this out. Fix that, and we go back to here. All right, here we go. So anyway, and this is by someone named Clarice Feldman. By Harbor Freight, they're Taiwanese. Harbor Freight, are they the ones who make, is that a tool company? I don't consider it like just using business. Oh, Starbucks, no. Ben & Jerry's. Yeah, no, I don't do Ben & Jerry's anyway. BRC, Nike. Yeah, okay, I got you. All right, Dog Frapple. Good morning, Scribe. How you doing? So they hate us. They really hate us. As it did in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, the major media relentlessly trumpeted a false story. Oh, speaking of false stories, as I'm putting this out about the so I just found out, and if you don't know who Darth Crypto is, he's kind of has a YouTube channel and a Twitter handle, whatever, and he's kind of one of these. I wouldn't say an autist, but if he were. He's very 4chan-esque as far as him being able to investigate things. And he's found video footage, one of the guy who brought the video to remember in the middle of the trial, the prosecutors got this new video from some drone or whatever. They found footage of that guy delivering the I don't know if they're delivering a portable drive or whatever, but they got video of him delivering it. And also they got video of the brothers Sam and Sal. I can't pronounce their last name, but the guys who said that testified in court that they didn't know that these guys were guarding their place. He found video footage of Sam and Sal there with them. Not just Sal, like the picture, but video footage of them there together. And Binger very likely had that video footage. They were dirty bastards. But anyway, as it did in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, the major media relentlessly trumpeted a false story. This time, this is about Smollett. I'm sorry, I mistake. I've been so caught up in Rittenhouse that this is about Jussie Smollett, and it's not Jussie Wednesday, but I'm doing this on Monday. I don't care. This time about Jussie Smollett. In both cases, the tales were of white supremacists committing horrific crimes. In both cases, when the fabulous tales were rejected by jurors who heard and weighed the evidence, the outcome was ignored or downplayed. But doubtless the distrust of their fellow citizens among the black community in Kenosha and then Chicago, and perhaps the country, was heightened by these lies. In both cases, celebrities and politicians bought and promoted the fake stories. And improbable it was, unless you are so nuts you think two masked strangers whom Smollett thought were white happened to be walking around Chicago at 2 a.m. on a freezing cold night, wind chill of -40, wearing mega hats, and these masked men threw a noose around his neck, yelled racist and homophobic slurs, poured bleach on him, and shouted support for Donald Trump. The odds against this account being true are off the charts. Smollett was well connected enough that the Cook County State Attorney dropped a 16-count indictment in exchange for a forfeiture of the $10,000 bail he had posted. And that would have been the end of it had not then Mayor Rahm Emanuel and the Chicago police superintendent called that a miscarriage of justice and forced the assignment of a special prosecutor who recommended charging Smollett. Let me be the first and perhaps the only one to congratulate Emanuel for bucking the tide and standing up for Chicago. No, I too, and a rare solidarity with former Mayor Rahm Emanuel, I concur. He took some heat for his action. In case you forgot, here are some comments at the NAACP Awards at the time. Not even from none other than Maxine Waters. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got shot. Nobody killed. Jussie Smollett had never committed a crime before, she told BE. How about what? What's BE? Anyway, Chicago has a lot of problems and lots of killing going on every day. And I would much rather they spend time and their money on the efforts to apprehend killers and folks that are wreaking havoc on that city. Hazel Dukes, the former NAACP president and the current president of the NAACP New York State Conference, also criticized the response from Mayor Emanuel, who called the dropping of the charges against Smollett an unbelievable whitewash of justice. That's what Emanuel said. But Hazel Dukes said, I was upset with the mayor's comment, Dukes told BE. As many Black Enterprise, the magazine, as many blacks that have been killed by the police officers, he never came out that it was whitewash when they didn't get put in jail. Blackish star Anthony Anderson, who served as the host of the Image Awards, expressed his support for Smollett, previously telling Variety that he was rooting for Smollett to win an award. For what? I hope he wins. I'm happy for him that the system worked for him and in his favor, because the system isn't always fair, especially for people of color. Anderson said, I'm so glad it worked out for him. It's not my place or any other person's place to judge him or whatnot. But I'm glad that he's nominated for an award. I hope he wins because I'd be interested to hear his speech. Now, I personally think Anthony Anderson's comments were slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I don't know. Smollett's lies cost the city a great deal of money investigating his fairy tale, along with even a greater loss, increased racial disharmony. The special prosecutor's investigation resulted in a 6-count felony disorderly conduct indictment last week. And last week, a jury found Smollett guilty of 5 of the 6 counts. Smollett bald-facedly lied throughout the trial. But he's an actor. Hello, People's Front of Canada. Lied throughout the trial, and the special prosecutor has indicated he may seek further charges, this time of perjury for lying under oath against Smollett. Here's hoping. As unlikely as this tale was, the number of prominent touters of it was even larger than I recall the Rittenhouse promoters were. I'm sure I will miss some, but here's a working list which reveals the broad sweep of race-baiting politicians and organizations and their media enablers. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Maxine Waters, Yamiche Alcindor, who's now with, this is CNN. CNN, The Washington Post, NBC, Nancy Pelosi, Don Lemon, Robin Roberts, who gave the worst, most taint-tonguing interview ever to Mr. Smollett. Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, Bernie Sanders, it's just a terrible thing. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Cory Booker, Joy Ann Reid, Rashida Taliban, Eric Swalwell, Adam Schiff, and Pete Buttigieg. Now, I recognize that we all make mistakes now and then, but the story Smollett peddled was so preposterous, only a moron could credibly claim he believed it. Believe me, there's a lot of morons out there that still believe it. Others have offered explanations for why the celebrities, politicians, and media so quickly accepted his account. Those include it was yet another effort to tar Trump and Republicans to drive black voters and gays to the polls. Ana Navarro asserted that the fake hate story was believable to many people. How? I just say how. I bet scammers would pay a lot for the list and contact information for the people who truly believe Smollett's cockamamie story. Others might suggest the media covered the Smollett story without in any way questioning its believability because it was sensational, involved a well-known actor, and drew viewers and listeners. Maybe they were just afraid to stand out from the crowd of their peers. I have another view with which to consider it fair to tar most, if not all, of the Smollett fantasy promoters. They hate you. They hate normal fellow citizens. They hate anyone capable of the most rudimentary critical thinking. They consider voters sheep whom they can herd into the slaughter pens at their will. And despite any of the flock that spot the pen and refuse to enter it, or despise any of the flock that spot the pen and refuse to enter it. And in their usual projection, they assume that those they hate are in fact hate-filled when they are not. Here are some of the statements when the preposterous tale was spun. Read this and tell me I'm wrong. Nancy Pelosi, the racist and homophobic attack on Jesse Smollett is an affront to our humanity. No one should be attacked for who they are or who they love. And I pray that Jesse has a speedy recovery and justice is served. May we all commit to ending this hate once and for all. Sunday morning. Happy Sunday morning. Adam Schiff. Pencil neck himself. I met Jesse Smollett at the Pride Parade in Los Angeles, and I've seen the passion and moral clarity of his activism firsthand. This week, he was a victim of a horrific attack. We pray for your speedy recovery, Jesse, and reject this act of hatred and bigotry. Joe Biden. What happened today to Jussie Smollett must never be tolerated in this country. Well, the jury spoke. Pete Buttigieg. While the struggle for basic hate crime legislation continues here in Indiana, this horrible attack calls all Americans to stand against the hatred and violence in all of its forms. Fuck off. Did even one of these people assume, in the face of a nonsensical explanation, that the city of Chicago was populated by racist homophobes so desirous of attacking Jussie they would wander around at 2 a.m. in freezing weather with a noose and bleach to nab him as he sauntered out to Subway for his sandwich? I doubt it. They were willing accomplices in what civil rights pioneer Bob Woodson characterizes as Smollett's moral treason, a mockery of race relations and gay rights. Maybe the black and gay communities haven't caught up onto it yet, but the hatred of the rest of us extends to them too. All that blather about loving you is just a mask for their manipulations. There you go. I have no idea. I have no idea how anyone on the entire freaking planet could have believed that story when it came out. It was so ridiculous. So just so many elements of it were just so ridiculous that anyone believed a word of it. And the fact that he sat there on the stand and still lying his ass off, it was so obvious he was lying his ass off. And there's still people, believe you me, there are still people who say, well, we don't really know what happened that evening. That's what Brian Stelter said this weekend. We'll never really know what happened this weekend, that evening. I'm not even, the rest of it, I don't care what he said. The fact that we don't really know. Well, we know what didn't happen. We know that no MAGA hat wearing people were out in the middle of 2 a.m. in the morning in Chicago just wander around carrying rope and bleach. I mean, because you'd have to either think that they were stalking him, but that's not what the story was. Remember, they said Jussie's story was, they said, "Oh, you're that from Empire," but and MAGA country in the middle of Chicago, 80% voted for anyone but Trump. Come on, man. Seriously, you gotta be kidding me. All right, what else we got here? Did you hear in the Atlantic this weekend, or when was it? It was over last week. And MSNBC jumped all over this one. They were claiming that there are 30 million Americans ready to take up arms for President Trump. Because they've been milking this whole January 6th thing like crazy. And I'm telling you, I'm watching this stuff go on, and I think it was at Mark Meadows that they're want to talk to now, and some guys pleading the fifth. I keep hearing this, and they're talking about they're people organizing the rally where the riot happened. They're kind of conflating the rally with the riot part, right? And so what was it I saw this week, and someone was talking about how they were asked in this. There's a couple of emails, and Mark Meadows had in one of the emails talking about having National Guard troops there to protect the Trump supporters at the rally. Now, the media is kind of spinning this as though they wanted to have National Guard troops there. Here's what they're hinting at. They're hinting at they had them there to assist with a coup, so to speak, or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, as I read this, I'm thinking, why on earth would they possibly want to have National Guard troops out there to protect some of the Trump supporters? Why would they do that? That may be easy to explain, right? And if you took a half a second to think about it, you could come up with the answer based on things that have happened over the last 4 or 5 years, right? For example, anytime there was a Trump event, what usually came along with that? Antifa. So anytime there's a Trump event, there's a counter protest, right? And this was going to be a pretty big rally around DC. Now, granted, the FBI or some other alphabet agency somehow managed to successfully keep anti-Trump protesters away from DC miraculously. I mean, it's a Christmas miracle that none of them were there, right? Well, but we already know, and this was reported at the time, that Antifa types that were coming into town were being redirected, I'll gently say, away from DC for that particular day. They were I mean, it just screams an op that they just happen to keep all the people that always show up when there's Trump supporters around, that are out there ready to, attack people and whatnot, because they do it all the time. They didn't, I mean, how many Trump rallies was there people attacking Trump supporters, right? But somehow, miraculously, on that day in January of whatever the year it was, that last year, it's all, 2020, I don't know, it's all mushing together, but it's just a miracle that there were no Antifa, no Black Bloc, no Black Lives Matter, nobody counter-protesting a very highly publicized Trump rally. Again, a Christmas miracle in the new year. I mean, it's just amazing. So anyway, now though, this article, or this Atlantic article, one would think that controlling the presidency, the Senate, and the House would make leftists happy. But an article published Monday in the Atlantic and amplified Sunday on MSNBC shows that despite all their electoral success, they're more mendacious, hateful, and paranoid than ever. Ever since old Joe Biden started pretending to be president of the United States, the left has been working assiduously to demonize and destroy all opposition to his agenda and portray Donald Trump and his supporters as enemies of democracy, of freedom, and of all that is good. First, there was the January 6th. What the hell? Where'd my sound thing go? Okay, that's not it. Well, insurrection. First, there was the January 6th insurrection. No one was killed except a Trump supporter, and Trump himself called for a peaceful protest. But in the left's febrile propaganda, this has become a more serious threat than anything since the British burned down the White House during the War of 1812. Then there's the ongoing demonization of Trump supporters as white supremacists, and Biden's handlers' repeated insistence, despite a complete lack of supporting evidence, that white supremacists constitute the greatest terror threat the nation faces today. And now comes the Atlantic, portraying Trump supporters as ready to destroy our free society at a word from their master, with MSNBC gleefully echoing this nonsense. The Atlantic's barrage of half-truths, lies, and propaganda was called, quote, Trump's next coup has already begun. In fact, I'll leave that linked out in the tab today too. And it builds an incredible castle of sand upon the left's January 6th mythology. Quote, if the plot succeeds, end quote, the Atlantic's Barton Gelman wrote breathlessly, the ballots cast by American voters will not decide the presidency in 2024. Thousands of votes will be thrown away, or millions to produce the required effect. Ha! That sounds familiar. The winner will be declared the loser. The loser will be certified president-elect. The prospect of this democratic collapse is not remote. People with the motive to make it happen are manufacturing the means. Given the opportunity, they will act. They are acting already. Now, there are plenty of Republicans who believe that the Democrats are plotting to do exactly that. But as far as Gelman is concerned, that's exactly the problem. He claims that in their belief that leftists are destroying democracy, conservatives will destroy democracy, and that the leader of this nefarious endeavor is, who else? None other than Donald J. Trump. Gelman quotes Richard L. Hansen, a professor of law and political science at UC Irvine, that'd be the University of California at Irvine. The democratic emergency is already here. We face a serious risk that American democracy as we know it will come to an end in 2024, but urgent action is not happening. Oh, I'm so scared. It is to bring about such urgent action that The Atlantic published this piece, and on Sunday's Meet the Press, Chuck Todd asked MSNBC analyst John Heilemann about it. Quote, I want to read what Bart Gelman wrote in the cover story for The Atlantic. Some might say it is hyperbolic, but John Gelman, I'm curious if you think it is. The headline is Trump's next coup has already begun. Trump and his party convinced a dauntingly large number of Americans that the essential workings of democracy are corrupt, that the made-up claims of fraud are true, and that only cheating can thwart their victory at the polls. Sorry, it's hard to read it with a straight face. That tyranny usurped their government, and that violence is a legitimate response. Hyperbolic or fact? Heilemann gave a predictable answer. Quote, fact. I think. Well, that's definitive. The strength of that Gelman piece is that it lays out this extraordinary reality. Wait, what? I would say fantasy. That there is this research that shows something like 8% and maybe as many as 12% that say Joe Biden was illegitimate and violence is an appropriate tool to removing him. Where the fuck are you hearing this? And restoring Donald Trump. That's between 20 and 30 million people. That's a mass movement in America in favor of political violence, which is a new thing. We've been political. I think it means we've seen political violence before, lynching, many things over the course of time that African Americans have suffered. Stop making my brain hurt. But this 30 million people right now who are ready to take up arms, you put that together with what the president, the former president, and his allies are doing in the political realm, state houses and state legislatures. Oh, you mean winning elections? Ha! And the party apparatus to be able to engineer a situation where they are in a stronger position to pull off a coup in 2024 than they were in 2020? That's not hyperbolic at all. Those are the facts. Sorry, I probably didn't say it that way, but he might as well have. Not really. The survey claiming there's as many as 30 million Americans are ready to undertake a violent coup for Donald Trump is the work of the University of Chicago Project on Security and Threats. The director of CPost, which is called CPost, the director of CPost is one Robert Pape, who several years ago won renown for a study purporting to demonstrate that the vast majority of suicide bombers who were not motivated by Islamic texts, such as the notorious Quran passage promising paradise to those who killed and are killed for Allah, appropriately Chapter 9, 111. Just saying. Pape's study, however, was deeply flawed methodologically and in other ways, minimizing or ignoring evidence disproving his thesis. John Fine of the Middle East Quarterly observed, despite the revisionism advanced by Pape and others, the fact remains most suicide bombings since 1980 in the world in general and in the Middle East in particular are sponsored by Islamists and not secular terrorist groups. Pape avoids this conclusion by gerrymandering his data so that he does not need to include the significant numbers of suicide bombings conducted by Sunnis against Shia in Iraq. In his data in his new study, likewise manipulated? That possibility cannot be dismissed out of hand. In any case, it is extremely convenient for those who want to argue that Donald Trump is a clear threat to a free society. One might almost get the idea that The Atlantic and MSNBC were trying to ensure that Trump can't run again in 2024, not because he was rejected by the voters, but because he offends the intelligentista. They wouldn't do something as underhanded as that, would they? Oh, God, no. Never in a million years would they do anything underhanded and sneaky and, shitbaggy, whatever. So anyway, I am including that article from The Atlantic into the tabs here today. Well, that doesn't fit, right? Does it? Let's try this one. So if you want to read that pablum, you are welcome. It'll be in the by the way, if you're new here or haven't been around for a while, I put every article that we go through, I put in the tabs in a single link. A single link in the description down below the video window here, and I usually update that at or during the outro. All right, let's see. Since I am just playing catch up, by the way, how's everyone doing today? I hope you all had a good weekend. I never asked. I do have my cup of reparations coffee. I already told you in the Church of the Resurrection cup. And the stream in this show is brought to you by you. Now, Thursday, it wasn't worthy of anything. It was a terrible show because I couldn't get my tech to work. But today should be a little bit better. So if you would like to be a sponsor of the show, you can do so through by one, hitting the like button, 2, sharing the stream before, during, after the show. If you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section and I'll say hi back I'd like to know who pops through when we're not doing this live. And you can also sponsor the show in a monetary way if you choose, although not required at all. It's a free show. You can do that with YouTube SuperChats and or Streamlabs at PDawgKnight.live. I also have my Dr. Fauci Resist Faucism merch. I'm going to, and I'm in the process of creating some new stuff that will likely get you some laughs. I think I gave you a preview on, was it Thursday that I gave you the preview? Did I give you I think the new single from Public E-Money, Grift for Power, and a few of the new newly formed rap group is on there. We'll get to that anyway. It's some funny shit that I came up with, just pulled it right out of the old hind parts there, and it turned out to be kind of funny. And thank you, Scribe Light, who has done most of the artwork, the yeoman's artwork for this. And you'll be seeing some of that. Well, as soon as I finish the entire project, you'll see that in the merch section. You'll see that on Twitter. You'll see it at the Grifties. If you're not familiar with the Grifties, that's the show that Hotep's been told you do. They'll be having the second annual Grifties this year. It'll be hopefully everywhere and a theater near you. So what else is going on in the news? Let's see here. Oh, I was mentioning Jesse Smollett earlier. Well, apparently calls are growing for the removal of the prosecutor, the state's state's attorney, who originally dropped charges through some political backhanded dealing. Kim Foxx. They're looking to get rid of this young lady. The guilty verdicts in the Jussie Smollett fake hate crime trial underscore just how radical Chicago State's Attorney Kim Foxx has proven to be. She campaigned for office in 2015, advocating a radical brand of criminal justice reform, including no bail policies for almost every defendant, and reducing sentencing during the riots last summer. Her office adopted a presumption of dismissal for certain low-level charges. Then came the Jussie Smollett case and the inexplicable dropping of charges against the actor, despite other prosecutors in her office claiming they had a slam dunk of the case. Former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel called it a whitewashing of injustice, probably a poor choice of words on his part, but it was fairly accurate. Fox had abused the privileges of her office by appointing her deputy to handle Smollett's case because she said she had contact with a relative of Smollett's after a fake hate crime occurred. The judge ruling on the legality of that move said that Fox's action was unnecessary, and he appointed a special prosecutor, Dan Webb, to handle the investigation. From the Washington Examiner, Daniel Webb, the special prosecutor appointed to the case, accused Fox and her office of repeatedly abusing their discretion and making false public statements in the case against Smollett. His 12-page outline criticized Fox and her staff for how they decided on March 26, 2019 to toss the charges against the actor and singer. Among the focuses of Webb's inquiry was whether Fox acted improperly by speaking to a Smollett relative and a one-time aide of the former First Lady Michelle Obama, Tina Shen, before the charges were dropped. It also looked at how Fox only recused herself after the news broke about the communication. While Webb's investigation did not lead to any criminal charges against Fox or anyone else in her office, it did develop evidence that establishes substantial abuses of discretion and operational failures in the case. You think? No one should be surprised by Fox's actions, like other local prosecutors backed by billionaire Democrat George Soros. She had thumbed her nose at the law in favor of some nebulous definition of social justice. If the defendant has the right skin color, it's more than possible that criminal charges will simply disappear. In fact, she dropped, according to the Chicago Tribune, she dropped more felony cases involved as charged of murder and other serious offenses at a higher rate than her predecessor. During Fox's first 3 years as Cook County's top prosecutor, her office dropped all charges against 29.9% of felony defendants. Now, why didn't they just say 30%? I mean, they could have rounded that by 0.1%. But she dropped charges against 29.9% of felony defendants. Her predecessor, Anita Alvarez, had a rate of 19.4%. In October, she became embroiled in a fight with Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot after she declined to press charges related to a shootout that left one dead. When Lightfoot urged Fox to reconsider and look at the evidence, Fox said, "I was quite honestly mortified by what happened yesterday, particularly because the mayor, as a former prosecutor, knows that what she did yesterday was inappropriate." Well, maybe dropping the charges in a unrelated shootout murder was inappropriate too. Nearly 1 in 3 felony defendants were set free, but we're assured that Fox's policies of reduced or no bail for all but a tiny handful of defendants, vastly reduced jail sentences, and a desire to tie the hands of local law enforcement are necessary reforms. Homicide in the city were up 50%. Well, we just had the stats in the chat of the crazy. Anyway, homicides in the city were up 50%. 50% in 2020, and will apparently see a spike in 2021 as well. Apparently, already have. They're already past last year's. To believe that the policies that coddle criminals, tell them they're victims of racism and police brutality, and allow them back onto the streets to continue to commit crimes, don't lead to an increase in violent crimes is to deny reality. And that's all I got to say about that. It's crazy out there, and it's hard out here in Chicago. I was going to say hard out here for a pimp, but yeah, how about that? Anyway, let's see. So apparently the CDC has spoken. The Omicron variant is raging throughout the country, but so far the CDC says that there are 0 Omicron deaths in the U.S. Only 1 person needed hospitalization, because we were told by the people in South Africa who were studying this a long time ago that we're only seeing mild cases, no hospitalizations. I think there's only like 1 Omicron death in the entire world, so it could be that they didn't die from Omicron. Anyway, the CDC confirmed today that the Omicron variant of COVID-19 has killed precisely 0 people in the U.S., with only 1 case requiring hospital treatment. As BBN News reported, the Centers for Disease Control has revealed that there are no deaths associated with the Omicron variant in the country so far. In addition, only one of this is only a sample of 43 cases, but only one of the cases detected with an initial follow-up needed hospital care. The health body also revealed that many of the first reported cases of Omicron variant infection appear to be mild. A conclusion which is very much in line with the evidence gathered globally. Out of the 43 cases, 8 people had not been vaccinated, while 14 had been double vaccinated, meaning the total people who had received either a single or double dose and caught the variant was 35 out of 43. Wait, what? Oh, so yeah, that's 8. Okay, yeah, only 8 people were unvaccinated that got this so far. The CDC's announcement once again underscores how global panic over the new variant is completely inconsistent with its mild severity. As we reported earlier, experts in South Africa continue to share the positive news that the Omicron variant of COVID-19 isn't causing a spike in deaths. And that's enough of that. It's interesting. Because if you would have read that stuff when it first came out, the doctors from South Africa were telling us that, but the media just could not resist screaming with their hair on fire about it. And lots of politicians and, we're going to need masks and we're going to do this. And Bill de Blasio used it as an excuse to require private companies to have certain requirements with the jab and Fauci juice and stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. It is just crazy. Let's see. Let's go to something completely different. Oh, and by the way, inflation has reached a 40-year high. Freaking great, right? Let's see. Oh, but you know what? I've been hearing from people in the White House that inflation shows the sign of a strong economy. In fact, who's that guy from CNBC that had the meltdown the other day? Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer this weekend on his, he has that Cramer, some stupid show he has on CNBC, right? CNBC, Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer, listen to this. I'm dumbfounded by this statement, but Jim Cramer was saying right now is the strongest economy he's ever seen. I'm going to repeat that. Jim Cramer said we're have the strongest economy he's ever seen. Right now. Right now. This is and then also Eric Boulder, he's the guy who used to write for Media Matters, and he was mad that that the news media has been reporting bad economic news, right? And one of the examples he used of why this is ridiculous is because gas prices are down. Now, this was, I believe, 2 or 3 days after we saw a little chart it popped up on Twitter, and it was this graph, right? And it's showing the line of gas prices. And so if you're watching the graph, I'll do it the way that you normally look at a graph. You're looking here, and here's the beginning, and it's kind of like this. And then it's going down slightly, right? Down here, right? It went like this and then down, right? And so you're thinking, oh, yeah, I guess, gas prices have come down. Just if you look into that graph, and then you look at the scale of the graph, and every cent on the graph is like this big. So there. And they're touting the fact that gas prices came down, and this is the Biden administration who was touting this. Gas prices came down a whole, on average, across the United States, 2 cents a gallon. But the graph, the cents were this big on the graph. Like, so the graph went from here to here, and that was 2 cents. And the bottom of the scale, you know how this is lying with statistics. If you ever look at a graph that they're trying to show you whether they're saying good news or bad news, you absolutely have to look at the scale and where the scale starts, okay? Because a lot of times they won't put the scale starting at 0, and then the number of units determines how far that graph moves. And the scale literally started maybe 2 or 3 cents lower than where they were at versus at 0. So it's like you're looking like, oh, it's getting down close to the bottom. That must be good, right? And Eric Bollert, this moron, was mad because we're not touting how gas prices are lower. Dude, I just drove to Omaha this weekend. And we took my wife's car because my truck, my truck has a 33-gallon tank, and it gets about maybe 18 miles a gallon on the highway. That's generous. And my wife's car gets about, almost 29 or whatever. So we took her car. But still, whenever you're traveling, you look at all the gas is over $3 a gallon everywhere you go. And I'm probably lucky in this part of the country because it's lower here than a lot of other parts of the country. But the idea that, it went down 2 cents a gallon. Wow. I say we did a tank and a half to get to Omaha. Well, not necessarily, but we'd fill up anyway because my daughter was riding with us. She's pregnant. She had to pee all the time. So we stopped quite a bit. But, you filled the tank, and oh my gosh, we saved we might have saved 26 cents each way. Thank God gas prices are down. Ugh. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that they're touting that. But anyway, inflation has reached a 40-year high. Oh, and this is crazy too. Here's the other story I wanted to get to. So the White House, apparently, you remember when Obama, somehow they made it legal to do for propaganda again, and I didn't really. What could go wrong, right? Well, over the weekend, the White House has enlisted major news organizations to generate a more positive spin on inflation and the supply chain crisis. Well, wow. Is that why Jim Cramer was talking about the best economy he's ever seen? Joe Biden's approval rating are approaching the basement territory, and there are warning signs of a possible looming catastrophe at the ballot box for Democrats in the 2022 midterms, for the voter concerns sitting squarely on uncertainties about the U.S. economy on issues like worsening inflation, the continued supply chain crisis, and the gloomy jobs outlook. Why people are not taking all these jobs, these higher places, who knows? But despite all that, the Biden White House plans no shift in their economic messaging going into the new year, according to the New York Times. Quote, President Biden and his top aides are struggling to bridge the gap between the economy they want to celebrate and the one that has left many Americans anxious and frustrated as a record-setting recovery. A record-setting recovery collides with prolonged inflation and an ongoing pandemic that has left consumers deeply pessimistic. White House officials say they have no plans to shift Mr. Biden's messaging on economic issues, even as poll after poll shows his approval rating in decline and voter worry over inflation swamping all other views of the economy. Their strategy remains focused on stressing the administration's work to spread vaccinations and end the pandemic without further lockdowns. Except New York City, someone said those got killed by the court. Cheering the nation's progress in economic growth and promising that Mr. Biden's policies will bring down prices for oil, food, and consumer goods. Polls suggest that the disconnect between the president's view of the economy and that of voters could pose political problems for Mr. Biden and fellow Democrats in the 2022 elections. But Mr. Biden's team is undeterred. End quote. Not only is Mr. Biden's team undeterred when it comes to gaslighting the American people on the economy, but so is the mainstream, so is the mainstream media. You'll notice in the opening paragraph that the Times used the term, quote, the one I laughed at, record-setting recovery, without explaining it, perhaps because they could not. Something else not mentioned in the Times piece was a very key reason why the Biden administration is planning on staying on message about the economy going forward, despite the realities on the ground. As noted last week by CNN media reporter Oliver Darcy, of all people, senior administration officials have been conferring directly with major newsrooms behind closed doors on how best to quietly reshape economic coverage. Wow. Hello, Special K Nasty. In other words, how to propagandize the economy to make it seem better than it is. The White House, not happy with the news media's coverage of the supply chain and economy, has been working behind the scenes to try to reshape coverage in its favor. Senior White House and admin officials, including NEC Deputy Directors David Kamen and Bharat Ramamurthy, along with Port's envoy John Porcari, have been briefing major newsrooms over the past week, a source tells me. The officials have been discussing with newsroom trends pertaining to job creation, economic growth, supply chains, and more. The basic argument that has been made that the country's economy is in much better shape than it was last year. I'm told the conversation have been productive with anchors and reporters and producers getting to talk with the officials. Oh, joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Good Lord. It would appear that some in the media definitely got the message. The White House effort to get the media to do their bidding on the economy is really paying off. This is someone, Carl Quintanilla. For the next time someone tells you that the U.S. inflation is somehow unique, special, or anyone's fault, so they're comparing it to other countries' inflation. Weird why isn't the United States on that list? See, and here it is. Here's Jim Cramer. All right, good. This is it here. Here, listen to Jim Cramer. This, oh my God, is embarrassing.
Right, first of all, to me, we have the strongest economy perhaps I have ever seen. See that number?
Excuse me? I'm sorry, I don't even have this on the screen. Excuse me? What?
Right, first of all, to me, we have the strongest economy perhaps I have ever seen. See that number this morning, the unemployment number? It's the best in years, not best in 69.
Except for 2 years ago. What are you talking about, Kramer?
We've all spotted the endless help wanted signs, the housing and apartment shortages, the tremendous demand for goods and services, a marvel to behold. Oh, people are confident about their jobs. I say fantastic. And the ability to even get
Does
better.
Does he even look like he's telling the truth?
They're spending more than I've ever seen, but they're doing it with cash, not on credit. They're doing so in a roaring 20s style.
Oh. Based on data, President Biden and the Democratic Congress are set to preside over the strongest 2-year performance growth on growth, jobs, and income in decades. That's Joe freaking Scarborough. It's a Biden boom, and no one has noticed yet, according to the Washington Monthly. Holy shit. The Biden White House rank and file Democrats in the House and the Senate and the mainstream media can spin like tops all they want to be on the subject, but the American voter has yet to see it with their own eyes and or experience it directly before they'll consider believing it. Yeah, soon as when certain cuts of steak are $20 a pound at Cub Foods, are you kidding me? I've said it before, unless we see some actual dramatic shifts for the better on the economy and related kitchen table issues, which are at the heart of what most people think about come election time, there's a strong likelihood that the slim majority of Biden's has enjoyed in the House and the razor-thin one he has in the Senate will be history come 2022. And I concur. And on that note, I got to call it a day, but I want to read this. And I'm also, by the way, in the links today, Binger interview on Spotify. If you're not on Spotify, you'll find it. But there's, I'm going to listen to that today and maybe have talk about it a little bit tomorrow. But I wanted to finish with just the dedication to my mother. And so the speech I gave, just a little talk I gave at her funeral. And I'm going to finish with that. So I'm going to say goodbye now, because after I finish this, I'm probably just going to sign off. But, and so some of this is self-explanatory, but, and I've kind of told you about some of her accomplishments already, which I'm not going to bore you with. But anyway, so this is what the speech I gave on Saturday. Back in the late spring of 1968, some nuns came to the house. Yeah, you heard me right. Nuns. The Catholic kind. And when I say the house, I mean a small farmhouse near Dubuque, Iowa, where I was living in a foster home. They came and took my hand and carted me off to the local airport, where I would take my first plane ride, a ride to Omaha. Now, I didn't know where Omaha was, or even what Omaha or even what Omaha was. But when we got there, they gave me something to eat, and I went to sleep on a small cot in the hallway of the convent because tomorrow was a big day. And when tomorrow came, they took me to a park. And that's where I met this little family of short people. Now, I didn't know they were short at the time, but well, I was only 4 years old, but I figured it out by about 5th grade. They would become my dad, the late George Warren Johnson, my sister, the late Jocelyn Ione Johnson Shaw, and my mom, Juanita Ann Hanger Johnson, this amazing woman who we remember and honor. And I and her family sitting in the church, thank you so much for being here. You honor her and you honor us by being here. As most of you have heard or will find out, my mom has a long list of accomplishments, and you could read about those in her obituary or in the story in the Omaha World Herald from a few days ago. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But what I do want to say is that my mom was an incredibly determined woman, and despite her quiet, patient demeanor, you'd better never ever do something that she thought wasn't right, or you might just want to get out of the way. Didn't want her to live in your neighborhood? Fine. We'll build our own neighborhood. Pass her up for promotion? Oh, hell no. She sued the school system and won and got her rightly deserved director position. When I was in 1st grade, I was always getting in trouble with the teacher, so I spent about as much time in the principal's office as I did in class. At some point, they mentioned to my mom that I might have a learning disability, and they wanted to put me in special ed. My mom said, "Oh, really?" And she went and paid to have me independently tested. When the results came back, she brought them down to the school, and after they read them, they wanted to push me up to a 3rd grade class, and she said, "No, look, I've already taught him to read and do basic math. He's just bored." Then she looks at my teacher and says, "How about you find a way to keep him busy while the other kids catch up?" That was my mom. No nonsense, not a lot of wasted words, fiercely loyal. And she always encouraged me and my sister to try anything we had an interest in. That's why there was this lone little black girl showing quarter horses at the state fair in the 70s. That was my sister. Or why I played so many different sports, learned multiple musical instruments, and participated in so many theater productions. It wasn't until my 30s and I saw my mom's high school yearbook that it finally clicked. She was a pioneer for black kids of the time, playing multiple sports and being the only black girl on the school newspaper and yearbook. She had laid the path, and she made sure that we got to add our footsteps to it. So when I die and the bishop here, or better yet, some young priest or pastor who hasn't even been born yet, blesses my remains, there are 2 things that people can say about me that would make me most proud. 1, he was a loving husband, father, grandfather, and family man. And 2, he was a lot like his mom. Thank you all for listening. God bless you, and God bless Juanita Johnson. I love you, Mom. And I'm sure there's a nice little park up there where someday we can all meet again. I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thanks for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.